Hello and good morning. It is 6:45. I have just given my eldest stepdaughter a lift to the train station and decided to do my pod now. Hardest worker in the room. I'm not, but hey, look, it wasn't long ago I was doing a gaffer pod, so bit different today. The Sun Dream Team launched. Not, I think I finished the gaffer pod, came offline, loaded up my laptop, boom. Dream Team was live. I was like, kind of got to do another Dream Team pod now, don't I? Yeah, I do. And I'm looking forward to it. This is the first time I've showcased the Dream Team graphics as well, I think. So that's interesting, isn't it? I hope you like them. Let's get into it. Today, we're going to be looking at rules, first thoughts on some player prices, some potential 50-50 calls as well with those prices. And then we'll finally look at a little draft I put together to give you an idea. I'm going to touch on the rules. I ain't going to go through them like meticulously. The reason I'm touching the rules is because when I mentioned I was doing a Dream Team pod, somebody asked about the rules and why it's different from FPL. So I am going to address that because somebody asked me to, and I'm a nice person, quite simply put. There are a few new rules as well. So for people who played last year, there have been some changes. So maybe you haven't caught them. Maybe you don't want to read the rules and you just think you're going to think it's the same. And you watch this pod to get some ideas and you think, didn't know that rule was different. And there are some substantial changes as well. Let's jump in. Very simple. You choose a team of 11, not 15. Budget is 50 million, not 100. There are no limit to how many players you can have from one team. So you can have the whole Man City team if you really wanted to. You can change formation anytime based on your transfers. You've got your standard formations, but what I mean by that is if you do a 4-4-2, next week when you make a transfer, you could potentially put somebody in defence and away from a striker. So you play in a 5-4-1, for example. You do need a captain and a vice captain. Your captain doubles. Your vice captain takes over if the captain doesn't play any part of the game. That's very, very standard. The game weeks are actually called scoring periods. They start 1 hour. 1 hour. It used to be 90 minutes, I believe. So now we have a 1 hour before the first eligible match of that game period. So that's either the Friday night game or the Saturday lunchtime game. That's the two you got to look out for. Big one, big change. Well, not change, but big difference from FPL. Domestic and European club matches score you points. So Premier League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, UEFA Champions League, UEFA Europa League, UEFA Conference League, except the qualifying stages, will score you points, which is why I love the Sun, because you could get Man City, for instance, against, let's say, a newly promoted team, and then in the same game period, they have a double, let's say, and it's against young boys, and you can get some really good points if you. And the great thing about that is some bigger teams play a kind of a smaller squad or a lesser squad against people in the Conference League and things like that. So if you get the right player at the right time, yes, you can get a big advantage over other people. The transfers. So you get two transfers every game week, and you can change this as many times as you like before deadline. So actually, unlike FPL, once you click that confirm button, it's set in stone. Not with the Sun. You can change those up until the deadline that week. So if I make two changes, I think, and once I hear one of them's got injured in training or something, I can go back in, I can reverse the transfers and pick somebody new before deadline. You players change value. They can, just like FPL, there's a little bit more substance around it for the Sun, I think, but they can go up or down about 0.3 after each gaming period. They can also stay the same, of course. New for this season, the new thing about transfers. If you don't use your transfers, they roll. And up to a maximum of 6 you can have as well at a time. So if you use one transfer in a week, you'll get 2 more next game week. You'll have 3. If you used one again, the week after, you'll have 4. But you can only roll transfers up to 4. You can actually hold 6. Bit weird the way they've worded that, but you get more transfers this season, which I'm not sure I like. First part of the video, I'm going to say I don't like the new rule here. I thought increase it. I thought have 3 transfers a week. 2 was a bit too few, but it made you be really strategic and really think about your transfers. I think now if you can roll and again half 6 up to 6, got mini wild card there, really half a team. It's not for me, that. I don't really like that. I'd have kept it low and kept it strategic, but there we go. The boosts. So boosts are, again, very different to the ones in FPL that you would know. So a goal bonus. So each goal scored will earn you 9 points instead of 6 points, except your captain, who will actually score 18 points a goal. Get that one right. Very nice. 12th man, you've probably seen this before in a couple of other different competitions. If you play a lot of fantasy football, you add an extra player of any value in any position, he cannot be nominated as captain. Very simple. Again, want to look at one of those double game weeks where someone's got a very easy game, but you think they're both going to play. It's a fun one, but I as a person who's played a lot of fantasy games and used 12th man a lot, I've never really got the 12th man ship right. The person I picked is blanked most of the time, which is a bit frustrating. Max captain. So your player with the most points at the end of game week is retrospectively made captain. That's a really good one when you've got the likes of Haaland, Salah, etc., in your team at one point during the season, which I'm pretty sure you will have and most people end up with in the dream team, when they've both got 2 easy games, or there's 4 players with easy games. Bang that on, you're getting maximum points when one of them smashes it, which is pretty cool because that means takes away the idea of who should I captain. New one this year is called substitutes. They are available post deadline, so after the deadline. You get 5 a season only. You can only make 1 a game week. So if a player takes no part in a game, you can swap him for someone who's yet to play. He has to be equal to the value of the player you're swapping, or not exceed your budget. And you can use that right up until kickoff of that team's next match. It will, however, deactivate your vice captain for the game week. You can't use a substitute if you've played a boost, and you must have a valid formation. It also cannot be reversed. That one's going to I need to get my head around that one. In all reality, the way it's worded is pretty poor. Apparently, if there's a player who doesn't play in your team for the game week, there's a little button that appears called substitute on the Dream Team site that allows you to pick any player who's still available for the substitute. You only get 5 a season. It's very hard to know when to play that or when to use that. I don't know. I guess it's one of those where if you've got a full team and you wish you had Haaland this week, and then whatever happens, let's say I'm using Salah again. Salah doesn't play. Okay, fine. You know what? That's the time I'll go and swap that one to Haaland. But I don't know what that adds, apart from a bit of complication. If I'm honest, it's not thought-provoking for me. It's just something they've just panicked and needed to do something. Bit frustrating. I thought I'd tuck the bonus system in here because I really like the Sun bonus system, and there's a lot of points to be had. There's a lot of points to be had within it. So you get points for successful dribbles, accurate crosses. You get a -1 for an offside, actually. Pass completion rate so the number of minimum passes required is 25, but then you get pass completion rate, so 80 to 90% +2. 90 plus +3. So makes you really think about the midfielders you're picking. Those guys who make a lot of passes, very accurate passes. Rodri, for instance, it's worth having a potential CDM in your team. Interceptions and blocks, again, great for CDMs. A goal outside of the area, those worldies. Let's stick them in. Foul 1, so all those guys who win a lot of fouls. So Jeremy Doku, for instance, out on the left there, he seems to get fouled quite a lot because of his pace. He's definitely one to get for fouls 1. A foul conceded -1. So actually, you can see here there's a lot of points to be made and lost. Actually, if you're picking somebody who is a CDM who likes to foul a lot, Moises Caicedo. There's your problem there. An error leading to a goal -2 doesn't crop up hugely, but it's there. And then they've got goalkeeper. That's for every player, by the way, apart from obviously goalkeeper only. You get a +1 for a successful claim, a successful punch, and a keeper sweep. So picking up the ball, sweeping up. So That's the bonus system. So how is it different from FPL? Well, if you haven't already established from what I've just told you, it's very nicely in a table here for you. You can pause the video and read this, but I'll give you a little overview. So budget is different. Obviously, Sun Dream Team's 50, not 100. Squad size, 15 players for FPL, 11 players for Sun Dream Team. There's no substitutes for Dream Team, apart from the new feature that I just read out, but it's not really the same. Same formations. Transfers, you get one a week in FPL. Obviously, rolls up to 5. If you take one over that, there's an extra cost of 4. In Sun, you get 2 per game week, and up to 4 can be banked, but you can hold 6. The player prices are dynamic based on transfers in and out for FPL. It's weekly adjustments driven by the Sun and player performance for the Sun Dream Team. Scoring competition, so Premier League only for FPL. All those competitions: Premier League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, League Cup, League Cups, Champions League, Europa, associated leagues, etc. Captain and vice captain, you get them in both. Boosts and chips, very different. I'll go to the screen I read out 2 minutes ago about them. Bonus points, yes, they both have bonus points. And then deadlines. FPL was always 90 minutes before the Premier League kickoff. Don't know what it is this year because the game hasn't launched yet. 1 hour before the first game week for the Sun. So hopefully that gives you an idea of the rules, why it's slightly different. It is a fun game. I played it last year for the first time in many, many years. I started my fantasy football journey on the Sun Dream Team to a point where you actually had the players printed in the newspaper with a 3-digit code, and you had to phone and not even mobile phone, by the way. Not cordless. No. You have to phone and dial the 3 digits to register your team. It took ages. I was not old enough, so I had to get my mum to do it. And that's when I first started. Don't even know what year that was, but you're talking non-mobile phones. You're talking newspaper and no internet. So that tells you how old I am too, really, doesn't it? Yeah. Brilliant. But that's where my love started. I played it once or twice. The Sun made a horrible mistake a couple of years ago where they decided to put it behind a paywall, and I had to become a Sun member. Fuck off. Now it's free again. Yay! And it's enjoyable. So the first time I played last year, I came 26k, actually. I don't think 26k for my first time in a long time was all that bad. I don't know how many people play it, but I envision a good amount. 26k. It's a good finish. So here we go. Some gems and 50-50s. I looked through the prices last night and picked out what I think are going to be some of the standout players. Now, remember, these do change 0.3 up or down during the season based on performance, etc., etc. But these are the guys that stood out to me as a couple of gems and your 50-50 decisions. So for goalkeeper, Kelleher of Brentford is 3 million. Obviously, we know Kelleher from Liverpool. He's gone to Brentford. I think he'll be their number 1 keeper. 3 million. It's pretty good. You don't want to be spending too much. Neto of Bournemouth, again, 3 million. And then Meslier of Leeds. Depends how Leeds start. At the end of the day, Meslier is prone to a bit of an accident here and there. Sometimes he looks like a worldie. Sometimes he looks absolutely dreadful. But I don't think Leeds are all that bad, and out of all the promoted teams, I've got faith in them doing quite well. So Meslier might be one to look, especially for 2 million. Do you care too much? Put that money somewhere else. Defense, Akanji, Man City is 3.5, actually, not too bad. Gusto of Chelsea, 3 million. He's one of the cheapest Chelsea defenders, and if you saw his performance against PSG the other night, he was forward. What an engine. He was really, really good against PSG defensively and getting forward. He was getting into some great positions. So for me, I think Gusto at 3 million, they've got a very easy start, Chelsea. He's pretty good. Lewis Dunk of Brighton is only 2.5 million. One thing I would point out is the Sun released the game. I don't think they release all the players. And they update that quite quickly. But I'm pretty sure I could not find Brighton's new defender in there, who I was looking out for. So just be warned, if you're looking for him, he's not there at the moment, or he wasn't there yesterday. But Lewis Dunk, 2.5 million. And then Perez at Burnley. So anybody who played Gaffer Championship knows that Perez was very, very good for Burnley. Again, do you want to go Burnley defensively in the Prem? Possibly not. But at 2 million, he'll pop up here and there, especially against lower teams. I'm sure 2 million is not a bad price for him. In midfield, Callum Hudson-Odoi. Okay, obviously they've lost Elanga. They've lost Morgan Gibbs-White. Hudson-Odoi, I think, will play a lot more for Nottingham Forest this year. Very good player, 3.5 million. Minte of Brighton, 3.5 million. I think he'll have a big part to play in Brighton's season. I think he's shown flashes of brilliance so far. So yeah, great player. Bergvall of Spurs. I think he's going to have an absolutely amazing season. Give me 1 second. You've got to have coffee at this time of the morning. Oh, dear me. Bergvall of Spurs. Yeah, I think he's going to have a really good season. I saw somebody put on an FPL question out who's going to be in everyone's teams, or who do you think the standout player will be, an outsider shout. I think Bergvall will be really good this season. So, 3 million, not a bad shout. Mason Mount. He started to play a little bit more last season, and I don't think much of Man United, to be completely and utterly honest. They've done no good business yet, really, apart from Cunha. But Mason Mount just started to play, and he's an Amorim kind of player. If he stays fit at 3 million here and there, I think, he's not a bad shout. And Alcaraz of Everton. Now, people might know Alcaraz from when he was at Southampton back in the Championship. And then he moved somewhere else, actually. I can't remember where he moved. But then he's gone to Everton. 2.5 million. If Everton start to play all right or have got a decent run of games, I think he'd be a nice differential there. Forward line, just 4. Because, I don't want to put the higher price guys in there. That's where your 50-50s come in. Evan Nilsson of Bournemouth, obviously he had that big injury last season, came back. He'll be their main man, 3.5 million. So definitely worth watching out for him. Strand Larson has permanently signed for Wolves as of yesterday. So 3.5 million for him. He'll be the main man. Mateus Tell of Spurs. He played a lot last season. Obviously, Solanke was injured, but he has the ability to play from the left as well. They have signed Kudus. So I don't know if he will play as much as I'd have thought now with Solanke back to fitness as well, but they do need him. Solanke doesn't always stay fit, so Tell at 3.5 million is not a bad shout. And then Isidore, again, as you can see, I've gone for the 3 promoted teams as well. So Sunderland, Isidore up front was really good in the Championship. He's 2.5 million right now. They've got an all right start, I think, Sunderland. They'll score goals here and there. Correct me, Sunderland's first game is West Ham. When everyone's going on the Bowen bandwagon, which I think is fair. I think I probably will myself as well. But I don't think West Ham are great. And they've not really invested. And they've looked weaker for the players they're selling, obviously. So will Isidore score? I think he's capable of scoring against the West Ham defence, if I'm honest. So not a bad shout. Get some early points from a very cheap player. Okay, that's your gems. That's the ones I picked out that I thought were quite cheap and will probably appear in a lot of people's teams throughout the season. Let's have a look at your 50-50 shouts. You've got Alisson and Raya both at 4.5 million. I think if you want an expensive premium keeper, they're the 2 that you'd be looking at. So they're 4.5. Pick your poison. Same as Pope and Pickford. 2 people, that I think that's two goalkeepers who score a lot of points actually through saves and obviously the goalkeeper bonuses I read out earlier. So 3.5 million for either of those 2. And then Kelleher or Neto, as I mentioned before, in the goalkeepers there as my gems. They're both 3 million. Pick one. Very, very difficult. I didn't look at the keeper rotation for those actually, which I could have done, to be fair. But they're the ones who are sort of similar players, similar price. In defence, Gvardiol and Van Dijk are both 5.5 million. Which way will you go? Frimpong and Kirkez, both Liverpool new boys, are 5 million as well. Big one for Arsenal fans. Who do you want? Gabriel, Saliba or Timber? All of them are 5 million. 8 Nori and Kukurea, again, your fullbacks, 4.5 million each. Would you be picking one of them? And then, but same for Man City, you've got Kanji versus Ake. And I'll be honest, Nathan Ake, is injured quite a bit. So probably, even then again, so it can be a Kanji. But I think you get at 3.5 million, you're going to want one of them in. In the midfield, you've got a big conundrum with Wirtz, Bruno, and Palmer, but all 6 million. I'd imagine most people would have potentially 2 of those during the season. I'd probably say Wirtz and Palmer, like I think I have at the moment, which you might see in my next team. Anthony Gordon versus Kudus, both at 4.5 million. I want to see how Tottenham do. I think they've made some great signings. They look proper going for it. I want to see if he starts and plays regularly to see that. Gordon, well, they're going to be signing a new striker. So let's see how that changes the dynamics of things. Because if they're not selling Isak to Liverpool, which, looks less likely each day now, it looks like they're signing Etiquette, I think it is. I can't even pronounce it. I'll need to see it written down. They're playing 2 up top. So how does that change things with Anthony Gordon there on the left? Both 4.5 million then. Reinders and Savinho, so 2 Man City boys. I think Reinders is a fantastic player for Man City. I think he'll play a hell of a lot of games next season. He gets forward. He will score a lot of those tackling points and passing points because he's very good at passing and doing both of them. But he does get forward as well. So him against Savinho, maybe 4.5. Kluivert versus Matoma. I want to see what Brighton do this season. Why is it a different colour red there? Sorry if you can spot that. It was really annoying me. Kluivert, we know how good he was last season. Matoma has flashes of brilliance for Brighton. I want to see what Brighton do, but they're both 4 million. Pedro Neto is a big one. I think he had a stunning Club World Cup. I think he looks proper up for it this season. I think he's going to be in a lot of people's teams. It's 2.2 million cheaper than Palmer at 4 million. People could double up there quite easily, but I put him against Sade. Obviously, with Mbumo probably leaving, Visser potentially as well. Kevin Sade for Brentford could well be the main man up top, playing as a midfielder. So 4 million midfielder there. It's not a terrible idea to have that because he'd be a striker. And then Hudson-Odoi versus Minte as well. Obviously, we mentioned them in the gems, but they're 3.5 million. You're not going to want both. Pick one. Then the forward lines. The forward line was a little bit more difficult. Apart from Haaland versus Salah, which is always the conundrum. 7.5 million, it'll set you back, which is why most people don't usually have both until the end of the season when they built up a lot of money, like I did last season. Given the starts Liverpool have got, I can see a lot of people moving towards Haaland for that, if I'm honest. But yeah, Haaland versus Salah, 7.5 million. Bowen versus Cunha. Obviously, Bowen had got a great start with Sunderland. Cunha plays for Man United, and he'll probably be the main man. So it's difficult. I think, truthfully, Cunha will end up scoring more points, actually, over the season. Don't hold me to that. But I just think West Ham aren't good enough. And I'm surprised Bowen hasn't been potentially looked at by many clubs. Very strange. Not that West Ham would want to sell him, but money talks, doesn't it? Marmoush versus Solanke. I think we forget about Marmoush and how good he was last season at the end, especially when Haaland was injured as well. I can't see many people going for him when Haaland is now back and fit, if I'm honest. But he can play behind. He has the ability to, but when they've now got Reinders, they've got Shirky, Foden's coming well back into it, and I think he looked really good in the Club World Cup as well. Yeah, it's a difficult one, and I think Foden popped in at 5 million as well. So yeah, it's a difficult one. Marmoush can't see him being picked too much, and he's a forward as well. He blocks other forwards. That's another issue, especially if he does play midfield. Liam Delap versus Pedro. Obviously, João Pedro, that is. So that's both Chelsea boys at 4.5 million. I think a lot of people are going to be putting João Pedro in at 4.5 million, if I'm honest. I'm not too sure about it in the Sun, the Dream Team. For me, it might be an FPL one because of the subs. But here in this one, I kind of want people who are definitely going to start and play a lot of minutes. I don't mind them getting taken off at 85. But if he's getting taken off at 65 for Delap constantly, I don't want that. Evan Nilsson versus Tell versus Welbeck, 3.5 million. Welbeck scored 4 goals in the game the other day for his friendly. Not that I don't think it was anyone great, but he looks again like the main man for Brighton up top. Evan Ferguson is rumoured to be leaving. So yeah, I don't know who else have they got. Oh, João Pedro, they sold. Yeah. So unless Brighton buy a fantastic striker, which they're more than capable of, they've got money. And who comes in at number one? It looks like Welbeck might be leading that line again. He was very good last season. I think he takes penalties as well. I think so. Yeah, not a bad shout. I spoke about Tell earlier and Evan Nilsson. So 3.5 million for any of those three. They'll appear in your team at some point. I know they will. And then Isidore versus João Perreault. So obviously we've got Sunderland and Leeds there. João Perreault, very good player. Big, strong, physical, good hold-up play. But let's see how Leeds and Sunderland do. But you might want to punt on them from the start because they're very cheap. Very simple. There you go. And that takes me through to just the first draft I chucked together. Just to give you an idea, I've stuck to a basic 4-3-3 here. This is near enough like I may line up. If I'm totally honest, I probably should have not given this away because it's actually how I might look. The one thing I don't often do, as you've seen here, because I've got 3 Man City players, is I never really. The one thing I struggle with is having more players from a team than 3, like FPL. It doesn't feel like I should be allowed to, and I put the rule on myself rather than the system doing it for me. And I think, I can't have another Man City player. Well, actually, I can, and I forget about that. But during the season, I never really go more players than I should or think I should. That can cost you. You know, at the end of the day, if Man City are absolutely running away with it, or Liverpool, whoever, doesn't matter, you should go all in. You often end up with a double up in defence, I can tell you that. And you formation change a lot during the season. It happens. So the first draft I've gone with so far, and I mean, I'll definitely change it because I'm not too happy with 6 million. It's a lot of money for putting my faith in him. In goal, we've got Kelleher. In defence, we've got back 4 of Gusto, Van der Ven, who, by the way, is 3.5 million for Tottenham. Not bad at all. Akanji and Frimpong. In midfield, we've got a big midfield, to be fair. Florian Wirtz, Phil Foden, and Cole Palmer. You're in the bath with Colton Palmer. I don't know if anyone remembers that ad. But yes, Cole Palmer, really big midfield that. Like I said, I might downgrade Wirtz and then look to put money elsewhere. And then up front, we've got Haaland, obviously. I think he's got a good start, especially away to Wolves. Don't really care that either way. I think he'll do well. We've got Bowen. Bowen at 5 million. I know it's Sunderland, but again, like I say, I just don't like West Ham much. So I don't know if that'll stay. That's a lot of money for him. And then I've got Isidore in because I think the same reason against West Ham. I think Isidore could pop up and score, if I'm totally honest, against West Ham. So 2.5 million a goal, maybe. I'm all right with that. And that takes me to 50 million, and that is my team. And right now, as it stands, it's a first draft. Simple as that. We've got 30-something days to change it a lot, which I will. That's it, guys. Just under the half-hour mark. Hope that was helpful. Hope that's given you some idea about players. Hope it's covered the rules off for anybody who needed them and you understand the difference. They're on the page. They're well documented. If something I've said today you didn't understand too much. But as always, very open. Pop into my DMs. Put a comment on this video and just let me know what you think. Otherwise, enjoy. It's a great game. See you soon. Bye.